Good day, everyone. Tim from Timber Visions here. So about 3 months ago, I upgraded from my subcompact to this tractor, which is a DK 5320 SE cab model. And in that time, I've put nearly 50 hours on this, which is at a much faster rate than I ever did with the subcompact, mainly because this tractor is a little bit more capable and I'm using it for a lot of things that I just couldn't use the subcompact tractor for. So in today's video, I kind of want to go over some of the things I like and dislike about this tractor. There are a lot more likes just because of its better capabilities, but there are a few things that I don't like, and I'll show you the first one right here. Anyone who runs equipment knows that you should check the oil every time before you run it. Check the oil and all the bolts and stuff like that. But this dipstick is buried behind all these hoses for the loader. That is a very silly place to put it. I don't know if you can see it. It's got a red cap. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but that's a really tricky spot to get at the dipstick. So basically I have to reach in here, between here. Of course, if it didn't have a loader on it, this would be a lot easier, but I'm not going to take the loader off every day. That'd be ridiculous. But I can reach down in here and then pull it out to check my oil. And then getting it back in, it's like you kind of have to get your right hand back down in there to pretty much where you grab it to begin with to insert it again. We're looking good. And very similarly, when I go to change the oil on this, this is where you put the oil in. What a crazy spot to put it in. Thing's like tucked way back in there. That's poor engineering in my opinion. Yes, you don't change the oil every day, but you do check the oil every day. And that's a silly place to put it. Now, when you get to the front of the tractor, things are pretty easy to get at, except the battery. I mean, if you're going to jump it, you could probably jump it pretty easy. But to change the battery out, I think you have to take all these bolts out and drop the pan, basically, that it sits in. So it sits in that little container there. So, but I mean, you only have so much space, right? But then you have all your coolers and stuff up front. You can see I need to add a little coolant. So that's easy to see, easy to get at. But yeah, and everything up there, I don't know. That's a lot of stuff that I don't have to deal with on a regular basis. Otherwise, you know, these full back grill guards and stuff like that, pretty easy to work. The hood picks up on its own. You know, I think that's it's pretty decent. Pretty happy with that. So let's talk a little bit about line of sight to your whatever attachment you have on the front of your tractor. I'm a taller guy, 6'5", and if I lean to the right here, I can see the right fork, kind of, and left the same. You know, depending on where it's positioned. If it's all the way out wide, I can't see it. But if it's brought into where I normally keep it for pallets, it's good to go. And because of this issue, I've added that wireless magnetic camera that you see up in the hood with this monitor here, just to give me a view of the forks. I set it right up on the top of the forks, angle it down so I can see. But I don't think that that's just an issue with this particular model. I think if you get to a tractor of this size, no matter what, you're going to have that. You know, we're just talking about cramming things under this hood. You can't really slope this hood down anymore or narrow it up or anything like that and still keep everything covered. So I think it's just the nature of the beast, but it's something that I don't like about this particular tractor compared to my subcompact tractor. Now, this tractor will lift a lot more. It's way more powerful. It's twice the horsepower. So, I mean, there's going to be pros and cons. You have to give and take, right? But not a big fan of that. With the grapple, normally I can see things through the grapple. I could probably get some different forks that don't block as much or are longer, so I can see the tips. So yeah, some of that's on me, but with my forks, this is less than ideal until I added this camera system. Okay, so this model does not come with armrests, which some people would say, how can you have, you know, a cab tractor without armrests? And I don't know. That's just the way it comes. I will tell you this. I can put my arm on this fender basically, and I'm very well positioned, just like I have an armrest. Basically, these fenders have become my armrest. I am a bigger man than the average man, though. So take that into account. If you're a really small, skinny guy, you probably want armrests. They are available. You can buy them. And I was going to buy them until I actually started operating the tractor. And I don't need them. I don't need them. It's fine. It's fine without them. I put them on my subcompact tractor, and one of them my head flipped up all the time. I flipped up the left one because I didn't need it. My hand's on the steering wheel. And I only wanted it for the joystick side so I could run the loader joystick. But this is very, very comfortable for me. It works out just fine. But like I said, you can add them for an extra fee, add an armrest. I personally think if you're going to have an armrest, it better be adjustable. You know, where you have a little screw on the bottom to raise it up and lower it down to make it the right height for the person who's using it. If it doesn't have that, there's really no point in having an armrest, in my opinion. But otherwise, all the other, like the 3 points, really easy to get out here, just to my right. My gear shifts here on my left, very easy to get at. And the front wheel assist is back here, easy to reach. The pedals are really nice. Distance away, very comfortable. I don't have to like move myself in the seat to be able to reach them. And I think that they're spaced a good distance apart, so you're not confused on which one you're on. I think that that's important as well. Some of them are really close together, but these are good. And the brakes, I rarely use those except for when I'm parking. All right, so let's talk about the regen. If you get over 25 horse on a tractor, and it's a newer tractor, it's going to have some type of emissions control. And what this tractor has is a diesel particulate filter, which means that periodically you have to do a regen. Now, I think that they have a pressure sensor on each side of that tells you when it starts to plug. But exactly when I hit 40 hours, my regen light came on. So there's a little light on the dashboard that comes on. Looks like a cloud of smoke. And basically that tells you that you need to do a regen. So I was in the middle of doing something at that point. So I cranked it all the way up to the highest RPMs, did what I needed to do, and then on the drive back to my house, the light went back off. So I guess that's one way. They call that a passive regen, I think. What you're supposed to do is, yeah, this is a symbol you'll see up on the dashboard. It's up here in where the dummy lights are. But what you're supposed to do is put it all, you know, start it up, put it all the way down at low idle. Then you push this button, this top, it's a toggle. You push this one up and hold it for 2 seconds, and you'll hear the RPMs come up. And then basically, you know, make sure it's in neutral and parking brake is set, and you just let it sit and run until the RPMs come back down. I guess that's how it works. I don't know. I haven't done it myself that way. All I did was manually crank the RPMs up to the 540 RPM, which is 2600, and I ran it. I did what I needed to do. I was over at Storm's house. We were doing some work, and I needed to, you know, it was unfortunate that it happened when I was in the middle of doing that, but I don't think there's a really good time for it to happen one way or another, but it is what it is. If you're selling a tractor in the U.S. right now, and it's over 25 horse, you're going to have something. So that's what this has. And I would say it ran higher RPMs for probably 20 minutes or so. And then the engine tones changed and the light went off, and it hasn't been back on since. So the next time it plugs, if I can catch it, I'll try to get a video of it for you guys, and I'll do a part one where I push this button here. But unfortunately, that is a con, in my opinion, of a higher horsepower tractor at this point in time. It has to have something. EPA regulations say so, so you're going to have that. Fogging of windows, something I'm not a big fan of. When it's colder out in the morning, you first start it up, you're going to have fogging until it's warmed up anyway. Fogging of the windows is kind of a pain. I'll get used to it. I'll figure out how to handle it. Mirrors, side mirrors, man, I tell you what, those are freaking awesome. But yeah, I spend I spend quite a bit of time on the street, and with my subcompact, I did not have mirrors on it, and you're always looking behind you, you know, especially before you make a turn or whatever. And you know, sometimes you turn your head back and there's like 2-3 cars behind you because you're going so slow. And it's nice to always keep an eye on your backside without craning your neck around. And these they're nice and adjustable. You can swing them out and in. You know, if you're in a tight thing, you could swing them to the front to get in your tight door or whatever, and then these swivel this direction as well. And there's some on both sides, and they're just really handy to have. I wish I would have had them on my subcompact the whole time, but it's until you have them, you don't realize how much you really need them. So on the note of driving on streets and such, this tractor in high gear or high range, it goes like 19 something miles per hour, which is really handy for getting from one place to another. Of course, you don't do that when you run the loader and stuff. You don't run it in high range, but when you're getting from one place to another, you're not, you know, carrying the heavy load. High range is really nice. I will say, I wish the mid-range was a little bit faster. It is nice to have 3 ranges instead of 2. On my subcompact, you had low and high, and the high was like, I don't know, 9 something miles per hour. So I've like doubled my speed with this tractor. But this one has a mid-range, and it's about like the low in my subcompact. The low on this tractor is like pull a stump out low, you know what I'm saying? It creeps along. Now if I have a heavy load on the front end loader and I'm moving it about, I usually have it in low just to have that extra control of speed, because when you have it medium range, when you first step on the pedal, it kind of lurches a little bit. I don't really want to say lurch, but the speed comes up faster than what you would expect in low range, which makes sense because it's medium range. But the high range with this, when you step on it, it kind of slowly accelerates just because it's such a higher range. It'd be nice if medium was a little higher, so you kind of get that same effect. But it's really nice to have 3 ranges, and it's really nice to have a good high range. Another thing on the back here, this handle here is awesome. I think every tractor, cab or not, should have this to control your 3-point up and down. If it's running, it'll go up and down. If it's off, it'll only go down. But so handy when you're putting different implements on the back, to have that. You kind of get up underneath it, hop out, and you can just lift it right up and lock on. It's so nice to have that. I don't know what else to say about that. Some people complain about these turnbuckle things, and I can understand where they're coming from. They aren't real high end, if you will. Some have like a crank here for adjusting this arm up and down, and some have slots here. It's like a bar with a pin that you put in different holes depending on where you want it. I run a quick hitch, so I lock it in and then it just stays there. I don't mess with it. If I had some implement on the back where I needed, it wasn't quick hitch compatible, I could definitely see where that would be a pain in the butt, because it is a pain in the butt. You need a wrench to loosen this, and then a lot of times like a rod or something to turn those. So not the greatest. And then you will have to use this no matter what. Oftentimes when you're switching implements, just to change the angle. And you have another jam nut here, and then these. And I usually just have this little crappy crescent wrench, and I just slide that over top of that to tighten and loosen that. And pretty cut and dry. Toolbox, it's tiny, it's plastic. That's basically what you get with all brands, so I don't know. Would it be nice if it was bigger? Sure. Would it be in the way of this then? Probably. Unless you set it back further or something, I don't know. But I can keep a few things in there. You usually keep some extra pins, that little wrench, and it's pretty nice. Rear defrost, probably come into play a little bit more this winter. I haven't had to use it yet, but it is nice that it has rear defrost. And this window does open, swings out, holds itself open with gas struts. That's pretty handy. I have used that a few times to reach back and adjust this. That's pretty handy. Suppose if you had like a snowblower, you could reach back and adjust your chute, things like that. Or just for a little ventilation. But yeah, there are some brands, models, they'll have a smaller door and then another flip open window here, and this does not have that. I think the RS and RX might have that, I'm not sure, but doesn't hurt me at all. I get climate control inside. I don't really care. On that note, climate control, which is pretty handy to have. AC, defrost, heat, air. There is a spot to put a radio, but I just use the auxiliary jack, plug my phone in if I really need to listen to this music. I got to be doing something for a long time to even consider that. So, but as far as capability of this, there's only been one log that I haven't been able to pick up with this tractor so far, and it was like 45-inch diameter and pretty good size ash log, and it was kind of at a weird angle too, and my grapple just could not quite grip it all the way. I think is more of what it was than anything. But otherwise, this thing picks up a lot. I can pick up a full IBC tote, or one of my, and that's stacked in there full, you know, I mean, it's packed in there. I can pick up those 1/3 cord bags easily. I can lift them up high enough to dump them in the truck bed, because I've done it. And, you know, it's been a really good tractor for me so far. I would say 90% of the time I have my forks on now. With my little tractor, I had to grapple on most of the time. Now that I can move pallet-sized heavy things, my forks are on pretty much all the time. It's just the nature of the beast. The other day I was milling some basswood logs over at the woodlot, and I didn't put the grapple on because I knew that I had to move some other things while I was over there, so I just will run the forks. And the forks worked just fine setting logs onto my mill. You know, just took my time and just slowly, you know, tipped it down so it just gently roll onto the mill. Had the log stops up. So, yeah, worked just fine. So yeah, the forks are the new normal on the front of my tractor. It seems like. Now that seasonally that will change, right? Winter comes here, and the snow pusher will probably live on there, you know. And if I'm doing a whole bunch of picking up logs and things like that, the grapple will probably go on there. The nice thing about the grapple also is you know, you can pick up from the top of a stack of logs, as opposed to trying to, you know, get a fork in there to get. You just have more control. If you have the logs set out in a nice manner that you can just get the forks underneath them, forks work just fine. But if you're picking up random logs here and there, the grapple's way better. And it makes the tractor shorter overall length. That makes sense. The forks, you really have to think about when you're going to turn before you get there, because it sticks out so much further in the front. But this tractor has been great. I've really enjoyed having it here. I'm really thankful my wife is an understanding wife, and pretty much told me to just get it, you know. She knew I wanted it and knew that I could use it, so she gave me the nod, because my business alone cannot pay for this tractor. It has to be a family, you know, family purchase, basically. Which I use it here around the house as well. You know, spread some mulch yesterday, things like that. Just really saves on the time and your back. But yeah, it's a way better tractor for my needs. If you're in the market for a tractor, just really think about going a little bit bigger than what you think you're going to need. And you know, I started with a subcompact, and I'm not going to say that I regret doing that, although I lost money on that deal because I only had it for a couple years. I'm still paying on it. But don't look at price alone. If you can't afford the tractor that you are pretty sure you're going to need, just wait until you can afford it, I guess is what I would say. Or go used. Although used is tough. It is tough because the incentives to buy new are so good that it makes it almost impossible to justify buying used. You know, unless you have the cash. If you have the cash sitting in your bank account, then used is probably the way to go. You could save yourself a lot of money over the new price and still get a very capable machine, because these things hold up pretty well. They're made to work, right? And I'm talking all the brands. You know, if it's a major brand or mostly major brand that's being sold in the U.S., it's probably a good quality tractor. You know, John Deere, Kubota, Kioti, LS, Mahindra, you know, this Bobcat, which is basically rebranded Coyotes, except for the loader. You know, they're all good quality tractors, I think. So, dealer is probably the most important thing. Find yourself a good dealer that's close, and kind of use that to decide which brand you want to go with, in my opinion. Anyway, hopefully this video was useful to some folks that were looking at a DK. I know they have several models in the DK range, and this is the second from the top. I think the DK 6020 is the largest horsepower, which is, I think, a 55 horse. This one's a 5320, which is a 50 horse. I think they have a 47 and a 43. Don't quote me on that. Go to the website and you can find it, all that information. And 2023, this year, was the first year that they had the 20 series. Before that, it was like a DK 5010 or something like that. I don't know why they moved it up to a 53, but you know, they do what they all manufacturers do, that they change the numbers. It's a 5320, but it's a 50 horse. I don't know why they call it 5320. But anyway, and since it's hydrostatic transmission, I get 39 horsepower at the PTO, rather than, like, I think it's like 43 or 45, something like that, if you were to have a geared transmission in the same, because you can get geared in these also. I don't know if you can get geared in the cab version, though. On that note, cabs are awesome. I know a lot of people say, well, if you can go in the woods with them, don't get a cab. I don't know. I don't go in the woods, so I can't speak to that. But I see a lot of guys. You look at, like, GP Outdoors, he's got a cab tractor. He's in the woods all the time. So, and I mean going through the woods on little itty-bitty trails. And he drives an LX, Kubota LX, through the woods. I think you have to be aware of your surroundings, but you have to do that with an open station too. You know, yeah, a tree branch or something might break the glass on your cab tractor, but if you don't have a cab, what's it going to break? Your face, probably. So, and heat in the wintertime and AC in the summer, I don't know. I don't regret getting a cab at all at this point in time. I will say that. I'm very happy I got the cab. The only downfall of the cab to me is getting in and out, because I'm a hefty boy, if you will. So climbing in and out of this is not as easy as an open station. But I've gotten used to it. I can get in and out pretty easy now. But when I first got it, I was thinking to myself, man, what a pain in the butt. But it's much better now. I will say that I've gotten used to it. And when it was hot this summer, I was so glad that I had AC. Because, you know, the drive over to the wood lot, anytime I was moving things with the tractor, I had AC the whole time. So I at least had somewhere to cool off for a little bit. But, and then this winter, I know I'm going to enjoy having the heat when I'm pushing snow, because in years past, the subcompact, even though I had the soft side cab which cut down on the wind, it was still chilly in there. I'll be able to, you know, be in a sweatshirt and push snow this winter. You can't do that with an open station, even with the soft cab. But thanks everybody for stopping in. Kind of rambling here. Until next time, be safe, brothers and sisters.